Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you. Great to be learning with you once again. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all you do in the way of service. Our presentation today is entitled "The Microcosms 4: Cosmograms of the World," from Baudri of Bourgueil's poetic and encyclopedic chamber of the imagination, designed for the Countess Adela of Blois, the Shakespearean dramas and Globe Theatre in London, to the Sable's Journey floor installation in the Harold Washington Library in Chicago, will continue to examine the inspired manifestations of the microcosm. Such expressions of the law of correspondence of the microcosm and the macrocosm help us in attaining self-mastery and harmonious living. We'll have a period of meditation, but to introduce the meditation, we'll do as often as our practice. I want to show you a wondrous work of art. You'll see before you now a art installation. It dates from 2024, and it's by Saya Wolfak, a visionary and highly accomplished artist. And the work is entitled Visionary Reality Portal. It was a video installation at the Peninsula Hotel, Hong Kong. And Saya is a daughter of a Japanese mother and an African-American father. And she uses that hybridity of cultural backgrounds in her rich artistic expression. She's developed an imaginary group called the Empathics, or a speculative group that undergo various forms of transformation in their merge their DNA with plants, and have lent their visionary reality portal, which is shown before us, for the art installation. And we'll apply this visionary reality portal in our meditation. Let's zoom in a little. You'll see the mirror effect here on the sides, repeating the symmetry of the central figure and the great world-like diagram here. Let's go in a little closer, and we'll see a figure with the multiple arms, 4 arms that remind us in many respects of various gods and goddesses associated with Asia, such as in Buddhism and Hinduism. And we see stellar phenomena as suggesting the cosmos, but also the motions of bodies here, and also the plants. In a way, we're taking in a microcosm of reflecting the entirety of creation here. Now, in preparation for our meditation, I'd like to mention again that cosmograms refer to ordered diagrams of cosmic order. And sometimes a special term psychocosmogram is used to give that the microcosm is reflecting the macrocosm, that our psychological and physical nature is mirrored in the entire cosmos, and the cosmic, or the universal intelligence back of the cosmos. And we'll have an opportunity to experience all these things once again through our meditation that I invite you to do shortly. Sometimes also the term mandala is used, the Sanskrit term, for an ordered diagram that's used and particularly is known in Buddhism, but it's become a word in English, particularly through the depth psychologists such as Carl Jung, that we have now mandala, not only as a Sanskrit word, but it recognizes as an English word. And that's another way to say cosmogram. Over the course of the presentation or meditation, I'll mention about how, in a way, in our own lives, we live out cosmograms, and we can apply them in our Rosicrucian studies. And there are cosmograms in the Rosicrucian history, not the least of which is the vault of CRC, or the vault of Christian Rosencrantz, that we've spoken on in these Rosicrucian department instruction presentations earlier. Throughout, I'll mention various resources. They'll be given to you at the end, and including the Rosicrucian TV and various references to the artists and the cosmograms we're about to experience in the presentation. So let's get ready for our meditation now, taking in this inspiring work by Wolfach visionary reality portal. We're seeing it as a still, but if you can imagine it, motions and actions undergoing in it. And we'll use this as a portal to enter into the cosmic mind. And we'll apply the Rosicrucian key meditational instructional booklet, Liber 777, in the process as well. So I invite you at this time to close your eyes, sit comfortably, let go of the cares of the day, and just relax. Whether you're lying down or seated, just make sure you're comfortable with your spine straight so you can breathe in an unencumbered way. With eyes closed, I invite you to just concentrate on your breath. And you may wish to breathe deeper than usual. Inhalation, taking in the refreshing air, the vital life force. You may even start to feel the tingling in your extremities and the toes in your hands. Enjoying particularly the positive polarity of the vital life force, the cosmic essence. And I invite you to extend your exhalation longer than your inhalation. And in that way, you can enjoy the gentle rhythm of your breath. And with that extended exhalation, you experience the relaxation response. The great vagus nerve is stimulated. Very enriching, ennobling experience. The vagus nerve works with the autonomic nervous system. We'll move into an autonomic balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Our life can be viewed as if we're steering the holy temple of the body, and we make the left and right turns or the adjustments as needed. And that means we activate sometimes the parasympathetic nervous system more than the sympathetic nervous system and vice versa. But the autonomic balance is having the optimal working of both together. And one of the ways this comes about and is experienced is through what's referred to as heart rate variability moving into its optimal state. We don't want our hearts in general moving like or beating like a metronome, very, very completely even. The variations over adjust, help balance the two nervous systems. Part of the mastery of life is having this autonomic balance, working with the two nervous systems, which are Rosicrucian exercises that we do weekly help us with. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. And you may wish to picture in your mind with the incoming of the breath, not only the vital life force, but also the divine within, the master within, your true nature, true guiding light. So we're increasingly realizing, becoming, knowing in the great process of evolvement or maturation as a human being. And with the outgoing of the breath, extending it longer than the inhalation, feel the calming effect, the equanimity, the imperturbability, the tranquility. Let us spiritualize these actions as mystics on the path. Just continue to let go and let be. With this slowing up and calming, we become more competent, more creative, more optimistic. These are all things that are known through randomized controlled trials and in psychology and health studies, but things that the Rosicrucian mystics and others have known for centuries. Don't take my word for these things. I know you know these already, but to experience them even more strongly. The Rosicrucians are very practical. They're looking for demonstrations, Then we can know and know that we know and can pass on that knowledge and wisdom to others. Indeed, this deep gnosis. And soon we'll begin our descent to the heights of the celestial sanctum spoken of in the Amorc booklet, Liber 777. Apply the concept of the visionary reality portal as we go from the finite plane to the infinite plane. As we work with the empathics that this inspired artist has introduced us to. This time I invite you to continue to apply the law of purification that we've been doing through breathing and the law of cosmic attunement. Through the following prayer and invocation, I invite you to say with me. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now, fratres and sorors and participants, I invite you now to use all your psychic abilities and imaginative capacity to picture yourself rising up from your home, your dwelling, or office, and picture the building below, and now the neighborhood below, as we rise faster and faster, using great inner spiritual force, and see below the city or geographic area where you dwell, and continue to rise higher and higher, and seeing the system and order of the human-built forms, but also the natural forms of the weather systems, the land forms, are unique to your area. Continue to rise upward higher and higher and enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent. And we'll again apply the law of correspondence, for as we rise up, ascend higher and higher, we'll also do a corresponding action of going deeper and deeper within ourselves, increasingly experiencing the divine within, suggested by the vastness of the world about us, the macrocosm. Let us continue to rise higher and higher. And see now our province or state, and even our great nation and country. And now even the continent where we dwell, even the hemisphere, and the entire oblate spheroid of the earth, rotating about its axis, beautiful blue jewel, with its satellite, the moon, revolving about it. And let us look up and take in the great fiery ball of the sun and the beautiful elliptical orbits of the other planets, such as Saturn and Jupiter and the others. Inspired by the great fiery ball of the sun, our local star, let us continue up, rising higher and higher, faster and faster, beyond the great extents of the solar system, our local home. Continue to rise up and see other stars and nebulae and stellar phenomena, and the cosmic web connecting the stars and the galaxies. See also the nebulae and the black holes sensed balancing our universe, the rogue planets, the asteroids, the beautiful and wonder of it all, the great sea of vibrations Rosicrucians refer to in this great system and order of the cosmic keyboard. Rise up higher and higher, faster and faster, and sense now way beyond the speed of light. All the psychic and physical vibrations, and even the great rotating action of the Milky Way galaxy, our local galaxy and home. Let us pass right out from the Milky Way galaxy and see other galaxies and stars, the great spiraling arms of the Milky Way galaxy. As we rise faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent, as we all at the same time of the joint action of going deeper and deeper within ourselves and the increasing presence of the divine within. Increasingly sense what the Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic as we rise. Cosmic is the universal intelligence back of the cosmos. And all natural and spiritual laws that we learn weekly in our Rosicrucian studies and monographs. You can rise up higher and higher. See myriad galaxies in various forms, some spiraling in their arms, like the Milky Way galaxy, even great clusters of galaxies, and even great clusters of galaxies called superclusters of galaxies by astrophysicists and astronomers. And continue to rise up higher and higher, enjoying the harmony of the spheres. You begin to sense the tremendous vastness of the cosmos and the universal intelligence back of it. And sense even now the entire universe rotating about a great cosmic axis, one stupendous unified action of rotation. So he rise higher and higher, faster and faster, inspired by the ascent, increasingly experiencing not only the vastness of the cosmos, but what it suggests on the infinite plane, the cosmic and the cosmic mind. And sense yourself coming closer and closer to the great cosmic axis. And sense the presence of its midpoint, the very center of the cosmos. And as you come towards that midpoint of the cosmic axis, gradually slow up. And when you reach it, stay still there and take in the stupendous action and harmony of the universe rotating about you. Inspired and exhilarated by the great beauty and harmony and order. Let us follow now further the instructions of the booklet, Liber 777. And let us visualize our own sacred space, our personal celestial sanctum, our visionary reality portal. You may wish to picture some inspiring temple on earth, or an inspiring setting in nature, a high hilltop or mountaintop, looking out from a seashore or lakeshore on a vast sea or lake, or an inspiring sacred grove. Whatever it is, fill in the sights and sounds, the physical and psychic impressions, your personal sacred space. You may wish to picture stained glass windows depicting Rosicrucian and mystical laws and principles. You may wish to visualize incense rising, transmuting vibrations from the material to the immaterial. Feeling the sights and sounds, you may wish to picture those who are on this teleconference call with us and other seekers, aspirants, students of the Rosicrucian order, officers of the Rosicrucian order. You may wish to even picture the imperator and the grand masters conducting a sacred convocation at the heights of the celestial sanctum. Continue to fill in and visualize the sights and sounds, impressions of an inner psychic nature. And when you're ready, just release your visualization through the subconscious into the cosmic consciousness. And just surrender and be receptive and enter through the visionary reality portal as we move to the infinite plane. Just feel all there is to feel. Feel all that you can feel. Let us apply the law of silence and the law of cosmic attunement at this time to enter into the great stillness, the center of the universe, at the center of our being. Now, for others and sorrows and participants, as we continue our period of meditation, the heights of the celestial sanctum, let us undertake a further spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amor. I invite you now to work with the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amor, to radiate love and well-being from the center of our being to all those who have petitioned the Grand Lodge for guidance and healing. Let us radiate love and well-being to all those who have petitioned our affiliate bodies of the Rosicrucian Order Amor for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those you know who are in need of guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of guidance and healing. Let the love and well-being, the healing forces radiate out from you, filling the cosmos like a great floodlight going forth. At first, use great spiritual inner energy to affect the flow. Then surrender as the divine within takes over. At a certain point, I think you'll find you may no longer need to make any conscious effort. The great radiations of love and well-being will continue and even speed up. And when that happens, you'll know you're reaching those in need, fulfilling a lost service. And by the law of karma or the law of compensation, the law of service, without any intending any effect upon herself, we'll feel a great healing for our own nature as well. Just continue to let the flow of the radiation continue. Now. Just continue to let the radiations of love and well-being continue. In other words, surrender and shine forth the living sun. Soon we'll formally conclude our period of sending a metaphysical aid, or we'll continue our meditation a while longer. To conclude this work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, I invite us to say together now, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So mote it be. Now let us continue to meditate the heights of the celestial sanctum, assured that the radiations of love and well-being will continue as part of our mission in life and as a way of life. Just continue to surrender to the divine within. One way you may wish to do this is picture your mind expanding out to fill the cosmos, just as the radiations of love and well-being filled the cosmos for those in need. Expand your mind outwards. Take in the entire cosmos, the cosmic mind. Be the cosmic mind. Experience as the cosmic mind experiences. Assume the cosmic mind. Now. Now, flatters and sorrows and participants, soon will conclude our period of meditation. And then one with the one, enriched and ennobled. You may wish at this time to invoke the law of gratitude, which will intensify the application of the law of cosmic attunement. Express our thanks and gratitude to all those who have taught us well, to all those who have loved us well, to all those who have sacrificed well on our behalf. Let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, moving at tremendous speed now, beyond the speed of light. Moving past the myriad stars and stellar phenomena, black holes balancing the universe. Past the superclusters of galaxies, the clusters of galaxies, the myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the galaxies and nebulae, and see in the distance the Milky Way galaxy. And let us enter back into the Milky Way galaxy. Pass through myriad stars and nebulae. pass through the Milky Way galaxy, we see in the distance comets and asteroids, cosmic web connecting planets, stars. See in the distance our home, the solar system, the great fiery ball of the sun, the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. As we approach our home, that planet, come to the hemisphere where we left off, the continent, the great nation or country, a province or state, the city or geographic area where we left off. And we can say together the prayer and invocation. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And let us continue to descend on our neighborhood, the home or dwelling or office where we left off, the room back in the room where we started. We come through the visionary reality portal, feel enriched and ennobled, recharged, re-energized, and rested. All the more ready for the work and worship, the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, and fulfilling our mission in life. And when you're ready, you may wish to open your eyes and stretch, and we'll continue our presentation. Thank you. Okay. On the presentation on the Cosmograms of the world, I'd like to mention to you about the Countess Adela. You see a contemporary artist has recreated what she may have looked like. It's done in a way a revival of the pre-Raphaelite style, the 19th century. And the Countess Adela, the Countess of Blois, passed through transition in 1137 in the Common Era. She was the daughter of William the Conqueror, William I, and she was the sister of Henry I of England and the mother of King Stephen of England and Henry, Bishop of Winchester. And after her husband's transition, crusade in 1101, she ruled as regent for her son until 1109. And then she resigned in favor of her second son and entered a convent, where her saintly nature has been recognized. And she was a good friend of Anselm, one of the great intellectual figures of the Middle Ages. And she was part of the 12th century Renaissance. We often hear about the Renaissance in later centuries in Florence, but there was earlier Renaissance in the 12th century in Europe as well, an expansion of learning of which Adela was at the heart of, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But she was a wondrous diplomat, a great supporter of the arts, a patron of the arts. And in that way, there was a poem written for her by a Benedictine monk who would become the Bishop of Bourgueil, and Baudri. And the poem is 1,368 lines of medieval Latin. There's also an English translation. I'll give you resources on this if you'd like to read the poem. And in the poem, it describes a chamber that Baudri envisioned for Adela that had scenes to do with the history, including, for example, the Norman conquest of England that Adela's father spearheaded as William, Duke of Normandy, becoming William I. It's described like the Bayeux tapestry. And here you see a small section of it before you. where we find William, Duke of Normandy, bidding Harold of England to swear on holy relics that he will be faithful to William when he becomes king at the time of the great initiation or transition of Edward the Confessor. Harold wouldn't honor that promise, so that part of the story of the Great Chamber, the imagination that Baudri describes for Adela, shows the Norman conquest of England and various other parts of human history. Also, quite remarkably, in this chamber, this cosmogram in three dimensions and higher dimensions, it talks about the great patterns of the world, the great sciences and system and order. There's been never a manifested diagram or image of the Countess of Blois chamber, but I'm using elements from the similar time period, around the 12th century, of the type of thing that Baudri would have had in mind for this cosmogram. For example, you'll see depicted here before you on the left a model called the physiological and psychological fours. It's a great diagram of how there's a fourfold structure of the universe. You'll find, for example, you'll see in Latin, the earth, the air, the fire, and the water. You'll see the four directions, the north, the south, the east, and the west. You also see the four bodily humors that were part of classical and medieval and Renaissance medicine. You also see the name Adam, or the great original being of which humans are said to descend from. You see the signs of the zodiac. All these things were depicted in the chamber of Adela of Blois. We also see there was a map of the world, a map of Monday, shown here particularly with Asia and Europe, and in Africa, but also depicted with life forms on it as well in the actual chamber. And various computations in mathematics and in nature. What I've shown you before is actually a wonderful document that's called Biffert's Manual. It was originally written in the 11th century. The particular copy we see before you is from St. John's College in Oxford's manuscript 17. It dates from around 1102 to 1110. Similarly, in the Great Chamber and Cosmogram of Adela, along with depictions of the various diagrams of the world, there was also, in the physiological fours that we've been looking at, there was also a diagram on the liberal arts, as shown here. This actual diagram was destroyed by fire in the 19th century, but it shows the philosophy at the center, pouring forth her wisdom and insight to the several liberal arts, which were described in the chamber of Adela. You'll see that this is actually a centrally planned circular architectural structure that's been folded down into two dimension, but if you can picture it folding up into a round structure in 3D, you're well advised. Similarly, in Adela's chamber, along with the seven figures of the liberal arts, there was medicine. Sometimes the liberal arts were 8 in number and included medicine, and sometimes even more, 9, for example, including the mechanical arts. All these things were displayed in the great chamber of Adela. If we pull all these things together, the inspiration of wisdom, we find that we're in a way a great chamber that is a microcosm, a macrocosm of all learning and all structure in the cosmos. In this manner, Adela was being taught by the learned Baudri. But even more so, we know from the poem that Baudri was writing this at the request of Adela, that this great poem could be used as an inspiration for her sons and daughters to be educated, and they would learn this poem by heart. And it'd be something that they would know for a foundation for the rest of their life. In a way, it's like our Rosicrucian teachings in the vault of CRC. That sevenfold symbolic structure has all the Rosicrucian teachings in it. In a similar manner, we're in the great chamber of the vault of CRC as we pass through the different degrees of the Rosicrucian studies, mirroring a cosmogram like that of Adela of Blois. Now, intriguingly, then part of the symbolism of this chamber was that it would be the bedchamber of Adela, and that she would, can you imagine having a bedchamber with all these wondrous depictions of all knowledge, all Rosicrucian laws and principles all about you, right? Speaking as a Rosicrucian student. There was also, of course, the mystical symbolism of the bedchamber associated with the mystical marriage. One of the early foundations of that is the Song of Solomon, where the idea of the marriage means the uniting of the outer self and the inner self, like we did in our own meditation. And when those are united, we come into mystical union. This was part of the great meaning and purpose of this poem by Baudri for Adela and her children, the grandchildren of William the Conqueror. So in a way, this is an inspiring conception, but we can also think about this as the way our home sanctum, our temples, the temple of the earth that we rose up above, and the temple of the cosmos, in a way, are a cosmogram with all knowledge and all to be sensed and understood, and signs of a deep nature all about us to fathom through the creator that we are co-creator with. In a similar fashion, I want to show you two more cosmograms before we finish. The next one I wanted to show you is the Globe Theatre in London, England. Now, of course, this is the reconstructed Globe Theatre in recent decades, and you can see before you the great Thames River, and you can see the circular structure and the thatch roof. Before the fire of London in 1666, there was thatch roofs were common, but then they were no longer used because they're deemed a fire hazard. But again, the thatch roof has come back to London. It's been in other parts of England and Britain as well, and people know how to create it. Now, the thatch roof and the Globe Theatre originally go back to the time of William Shakespeare and Sir Francis Bacon. So we're going back into the 1600s. But we're also now related to this. I want to show you a close-up, and you can get sort of a sense of this earlier style of architecture, trying to predate something before 1666 when the fire of London occurred. And it had been something that the English had wanted to do for centuries, is to rebuild the great Globe Theatre. And part of the symbolism of the idea of the Globe Theatre is that all the world's a stage, which is a Pythagorean teaching, but it's something that Shakespeare wrote about in one of his plays, as you recall, that way we have the world as all around us as a macrocosm, reflecting the microcosm, for example, of a theater or the stage of our life. Now, in the Rosicrucian tradition, we find a close affinity between William Shakespeare and an imperator in earlier times in the Rosicrucians, Sir Francis Bacon. Some in the Rosicrucian tradition even view that Sir Francis Bacon wrote the Shakespearean dramas. Certainly, in this interior view here of the Globe Theatre, recreating the original Globe Theatre, you can see there's the front ground where people would stand. There's the seats and the three levels here, and we see the great columns, which have a mystical symbolism associated with Temple of Solomon. There's certain other things that I'll show you shortly. Actors find when they come here, even if they're seasoned actors, that it's a whole new experience for them because people are in very close to them. Um, and it's something like people experience at small theaters in towns, and sometimes they say it's somewhat like being at a football match. You're in quite close with the audience, and there's a great sense of the intimacy and flow between the audience and the actors, and a sense of oneness in them. Let me show you a little more of this theater of the world. This is a wide angle lens shot here, but you'll see up above here a cosmic scene, a celestial scene. Similar was the case of the celestial ceiling in Adela of Blois chamber, and also celestial ceilings that we have in our Rosicrucian temples. Here we have a celestial scene and signs of the associated with the zodiac and the constellation, the moon and the sun. So you see again a representation of the world. And you see now here the circular eye, great eye opening up into the cosmos, and the celestial scene of which the actors play underneath. Similarly here, looking out from the stage, this wide angle lens, we see the circular presence of the stage space. And you can imagine it's filled with people standing. And it's a fairly informal scene from earlier time. People are encouraged to be very, very, very engaged with the actors. There's a strong sense of rapport. It's a very mystical way of approach theater because there's that sense of underlying unity of the one soul. I wanted to show you here a particular image of what some refer to as sacred geometry that's been associated with the Globe Theater's construction. I'd like to thank in particular Jeff Hoke, who is a visionary artist, designer, and illustrator for the Museum of Lost Wonder for his graciously allowing me to use this image of his. And I'll give you some resources on this. You'll see here different polygonal shapes, regular in nature. And this is based on Francis Yates, the scholar's ideas about the original construction and design of the Globe Theater. Again, the globe is the idea that we're taking in the macrocosm. And you'll see the signs of the zodiac and planets that are on the ceiling above. So we have this perfect geometry of the cosmos reflected in the design and how the stage here is laid out. Also, the inside sections where the people sit. We also have the outer structure in this polygonal shape, or polygon shape here of the entire exterior walls of the Globe Theater. Similarly, in this fashion, we can see this diagram. It's again, I thank Jeff Hoke of the Museum of Lost Wonder for this inspired depiction of what the Globe Theater would originally looked at. And you can see above the celestial design, we have the male and female principal and the acting, and we have the stage of our life before us depicted in the great stories of the Elizabethan times of Shakespeare. In a way, if you think of his plays as a whole, you take them in his sonnets, in a way, it's a conveyance of what Rosicrucians would call the cosmic sense, the cosmic consciousness, the full range of experience of the outer self, guided by the master within, the uplifting experiences, the deeper underlying message of the theater, all the world's the stage. There's one more cosmogram I want to show to you. It's from the contemporary period. You see before you now what's referred to as the Congo cosmogram. It's one of the great diagrams of African tradition, spirituality, and philosophy. It's associated with the Congo and West African spiritual teachings. And we have, I'll give you some resources on this, but you'll see similar to our diagram we saw in Griffith's manual, there's an association with the movement of the sun and the stages of human life, the birth, morning or birth and moon, I should say the noon period, the sunset of life, but also the midnight of rebirth. There's a counterclockwise motion associated with the sunwise motion in the southern hemisphere. The different colors are associated with the different seasons and different qualities of the human being. This is an important spiritual tradition that has been used for a cosmogram manifestation here in North America through the artist Houston Conwell. I'll show you a little more of a plan of one of his images here before you. It was done on paper. It was done with his poet sister, Estella Conwell Joyza, and the architect Joseph DePace. They work and support each other and in a synergistic manner. This is a plan for a floor installation. It's sort of the diagram leading to it. And you'll see that it has that cosmogram and Congo cosmogram form, and there's that counterclockwise or sunwise motion in the southern hemisphere. We'll zoom in a little bit on it to make it a little more readable and intelligible to you here. And there's a statement on it, and we'll zoom in even more shortly. That's actually from Harold Washington. You know, Harold Washington was an American lawyer. He was also a politician and the 51st mayor of Chicago. And he was the first African American to be elected as the city's mayor in 1983. And there's an inspiring statement that the artist has put in from Harold Lee Washington at the time of him becoming mayor, a statement of inclusivity, a great statement of unity, a great statement of how each of us needs to work in service to have a great country, a great land, and a great macrocosm. Let me zoom in even more closer and for you shortly on this. You can see again in a basic diagram of the Congo cosmogram. And we'll see their planning diagram that was done in paper. And here's how the installation was done in the floor of the Harold Washington Library in Chicago. I think some of you have actually been there and walked on this. The counterclockwise motion is also associated with a type of dance that came from Africa into the Americas, the ring shoutout dance. It's part of the spiritual reenactment of the movement of the celestial bodies and of our lives. You'll notice very inwardly on it, there's various special symbols that are on it, very intriguing, to do with the secret symbol language of the Vivi and the Anafarana, born of West African sign languages, associated with the African diaspora. Now, this great cosmogram is actually known as the Sable's journey. De Sable was born to a French father and an enslaved African mother in Saint-Domingue in present-day Haiti, around 1745. And de Sable was a great entrepreneur and an explorer. And he was founder of Chicago. And in the statement quoted from the mayor, he actually makes honors de Sable in that founding of Chicago. And let me go in even more closer so you can see our final cosmogram here. You can see the quote from the mayor, his statement of unity, the great recognition of the African peoples in the Americas, and the need to work together as one humanity. We'll see also here the great passages here from the Atlantic Ocean, the Mississippi River, the Gulf of Mexico, the Illinois River, and coming to the Great Lakes and then the Mount of Joy, the place of Chicago. There's also a movement of operations of sounding, tasting, of seeing, of breathing, coming into recalling and crossing and remembering. In a way, coming into mastery is a great remembering. Similarly, you find the four directions and the places, places for the acts of hope, the acts of temperance, the acts of wisdom, the acts of justice, but also the place where there's speech and there's balance and there's vision. the way we see, in a way, a diagram of ourselves, a model of what it is to be a human being, but also a great coming together, a great journey of people from the Africa to the Americas, a great coming together of humanity. In a similar fashion, we can think of our own lives as a great cosmogram diagram, a psychocosmogram, that we have the teachings of our order. We also have our life history. We have a diagram, in a sense, the globe that is the earth, and also the celestial spheres that we're all contained in. This is part of the fundamental teaching of the law of correspondence. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosms. These cosmograms by these artists, in a way, inspire us and see this in our own lives. Before I do my concluding statement, I'd like to invite Karen to paste in the chat the resources for you. They'll go into 4Pace, and she'll also, after that, upload them as a PDF document, which I think you'll find easiest to download if you wish to explore further some of these items that we've been talking about. So in conclusion, while you're getting your resources, if you wish, I'd like to mention that we've looked at cosmograms of the world once again, from Baudri of Bourgueil's poetic encyclopedic Chamber of the Imagination, designed for the Countess Adela of Blois, the Shakespearean dramas and the Globe Theatre in London, to the Sable's Journey floor installation, and Harold Washington's Library in Chicago. We've continued to examine the inspired manifestations of the microcosm, and such expressions of the law of correspondence of the microcosm and macrocosm help us in attaining self-mastery and a harmonious living. And we've applied Rosicrucian laws and principles to understand ourselves as cosmograms mirrored in the world. Thank you, everyone.